And we are live. Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you all to my Royce in the House YouTube channel. Got a fun show for you tonight. IMAX movie I just watched on Tuesday night. My wife and I drove over to Bakersfield to see Becoming Led Zeppelin. And I'm still talking about it, and I'm going to be talking about it tonight. Okay, that's what the show's all about. So appreciate y'all being here. Do me a proper and hit that thumbs up like button. Lets the algorithm know people are enjoying the show, and it gets us more opportunities for exposure. They will press us out there if people are hitting the like button. And also, if you're not already a subscriber, whether you're watching now or watching later, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's on the screen, doesn't cost anything. And when the bells pop up, hit the top icon, the dark bell. You'll get a one-time notification that the show will be coming on. So, been joined by a lot of people. Looked like Lou Mars tried to join the show, but there was no picture there. It was blank. If you can hear me, Lou, you came backstage, but it was just blank. And Gloria's here, and Michael Nolan, brother Michael is here, my best friend. Dr. Rick is here. Okay, looks like maybe Lou is up now, so show's going. So let's go over there and get him up with us. Hello, Lou. How are you? Lou? Lou, can you see me?
Not yet. Not yet. Do you see me?
Oh yeah, I see you. Can you? Okay, obviously you can hear me, or you
I
wouldn't
might
have.
have to switch networks. Let me try my other network.
Okay, well,
I have a
just
double.
all right. Well, I'm gonna start
Hold
to
on.
carry.
I'll be right back.
Okay, okay. All right, folks. Well, our
One sec.
first co-host is having trouble, and let's see. We've been joined by I am one of us. Hi, glad. Thank you for joining us. Been joined by Angela, North Carolina vinyl pickers. Yeah, everybody wants to hear about the new Led Zeppelin movie. I know it's. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to go see it again. Interesting thing is, it only went through really the making of the second album. We'll be talking about that later. So anyway, let me. I'm going to go ahead and. Get the show started. There's a lot of people here. My co-host is struggling. One of my co-hosts is struggling. I haven't heard from two of the others. So anyway, so making Led Zeppelin, folks. Let's talk about that. Okay, so like I said, my wife and I just watched it last Tuesday night. We drove to Bakersfield to an IMAX theater. Okay, let's try this again, Lou. Okay, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Okay, we've also been joined by Dawson, Rampage Videos. How you doing, Dawson?
Good. How about you?
Good, good. We usually have a couple of other regular co-hosts here, Lou. Usually there's three other people here. Anyway, Michael Nolan's not really up to it tonight. Who knows? He may jump on for a bit. And then we've got Chris Elliott and Novice Nick. And I haven't heard from either one of them all week. So anyway, we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna
any relation to Mick Mars?
Mick Mars, yeah, yeah. It's his younger brother.
Oh, I guess I offended him.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm gonna start. Dawson, are you ready? Okay, good. All right. So as I was saying, my wife and I drove to Bakersfield last week. I'd been putting it off because there's nothing really close. Although I could watch it locally, but not on IMAX at a little theater in San Luis Obispo. But we found out Bakersfield had an IMAX. We jumped on the road, a little over 2-hour drive. But you know what's crazy is when I first read that this documentary was coming out, they were quoting at the IMAX theaters that I called were quoting like $43, $45 for a ticket. We got our tickets in Bakersfield for $5 each. Tuesday night was half price. It was already only going to be $10 each for seniors, but we got them for $5.
I like that.
So anyway, so we went over there. We watched it. It basically what you have here is it's filled with interesting facts and interviews from all the members. Believe it or not, there's even an interview with John Bonham that was made a long time ago. And it was very interesting. I actually really enjoyed hearing Bonham talk. Okay, but if you're a Led Zeppelin fan you need to go see this. You really, really need to go see this if you're a Zeppelin fan. Okay, uh, you see their faces light up, when they're seeing rare footage from some of the early shows. Like I said, I'm going to go through a brief little thing here, and then we're going to start splitting the time here for the talking. The documentary covers the early years growing up in post-World War II England, explaining how the bandmates met and formed in the mid-60s. By the end of the documentary, which has performances up until the mid-70s, concert performances, I left the theater wanting more. And I'm just going to ask everybody, including the chat, okay, what does everybody think? Are we going to see a part two? Because like I said, this only took us up through the making of Led Zeppelin 2 with a little bit of footage of, concerts that took place in the 70s beyond Led Zeppelin 2's release. So it's a 2025 documentary film directed by Bernard McMahon, which charts the formation and the early years of Led Zeppelin. The film is an independent production made with the full cooperation of the band and represents the first time Led Zeppelin has agreed to participate in a biographical document. Okay, a work in progress was screened at the 78th Venice Film Festival in 2021 and received a 10-minute standing ovation. 10-minute standing ovation. So, becoming Led Zeppelin traces the journey of Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, John Bonham, and Robert Plant through the music scene of the 60s. Their meeting in the summer of 68, the meteoric ascendancy through 69, culminating in 1970 when they became the #1 band in the entire world. The story is told exclusively by the band members, all interviews with band members, with late John Bonham represented by previously unreheard audio interviews. Okay, the film features full performances, never seen before footage of the band's early U.S. and British concerts, and unseen material from the band's personal archives. Okay, so it took a while for everybody to kind of get on board. The film was developed. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's taking time for Lou Mars to get on board.
Dropped. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. So finally they all kind of agreed to do this, and John Paul Jones gave his blessing, saying the time was right for us to tell our own story. And I thought there's some pretty funny little tidbits as coming up. The time was right for us to tell our own story in our own words, and the time was right for the film to be made. Robert Plant praised McMahon's work. The early American Emmy-nominated 2017 documentary that chronicled the early American roots music recorded in the 20s and cited as a reason for agreeing to do in this film. They loved his work on that earlier documentary, and that was one of the reasons why they agreed to let him do this. Okay, but anyway, so the documentary is just 4 guys telling their story. Okay, we've got a bunch of unforgettable quotes from Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and even John Bonham. The film's focus is Led Zeppelin's early years, starting out with the guys talking about their formative years. Jimmy Page starts out talking about it when he started hearing music from America. He loved the great rock and roll coming in from America. And particularly, he loved the electric guitar playing. Jimmy said it was almost like it was coming from Mars, even though it was coming from Memphis. So anyway, let's go around and let's all get something out here. Okay, so I'm gonna go straight across to Dawson. Dawson, what have you got to say? Have you seen the movie yet?
I haven't seen it yet. As far as Led Zeppelin goes, I've been listening to the Led Zeppelin 1 Deluxe Edition. I think it was released around 2011 or something.
Okay.
And I got to listen to some live tracks that they haven't played before, or live tracks that I haven't heard, like White Summer, Black Mountain Side live, 10-minute versions of things. So I've just been kind of getting of my feet in the waters of Led Zeppelin, and that's as close as I've gotten so far.
I got you. Have you got any Led Zeppelin albums or?
Yes, I have. As far as vinyl goes, I do have Houses of the Holy and Led Zeppelin 2. It's not a first pressing from Atlantic, but
Yeah,
it
well,
is
those are hard
from
to
it is
hard
from
to come by now.
1969, and sounds great. So yeah, I got a couple vinyls, and
Okay, good,
yeah.
good. That's great. Well, anyway, well, as you guys are talking, okay, Lou, you contacted me and said, "Hey, if you're going to do this show, he'd like to be part of it."
You asked if there would be Led Zeppelin follow up to this one. I think that Jimmy Page will just keep remastering the same movie over and over again.
Right. That could very well be. Okay, so all right. Gloria, how are you, Gloria? Good to see
I'm
you.
coming back. I'm coming
Really
back.
glad you're here.
Getting
No,
a
wait,
direct cable.
is that Lou Mars?
It is. I'm back. Direct cable this time. I give up.
Okay.
Love the internet. But go ahead.
North Carolina vinyl picker. Good to see you here, brother. Yeah, no. We're gonna go around where I want to kind of share equal time here.
Just keep popping me back in, and I'll just keep popping up.
Okay, is everything working right now?
Don't know, but let's go, and then I'll plug in between.
Okay.
Weird. I don't know why I'm having trouble.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Lou. You contacted me when
Yeah,
you
I did.
saw that this was on to see if I was going to do a show on it, and I
Yeah.
said, "Well, yes, but not until I at least see it first." Did you see it?
I did, but you had like you. I didn't have to go. You went to Bakersfield
I went to Bakersfield.
from St. Louis.
Yeah, from
Was
San
that very
Louis.
right? What's the drive? 2?
It's a little over 2 hours. Yeah.
Well, I got it to a 1 hour. So my first, it's a little over an hour. I had to go to Rockland. I'm in Chico right now. So
Oh, okay.
that was a bit of work. And they had said they were going to roll it out to all the Cinemaxes on the 14th, but that really didn't happen.
Oh,
I don't know if you know, and this has nothing to do really with the movie content, but that's a
Right.
bad start when you're kind of like making it hard to see the movie. You know what I mean?
well, no, I agreed. I mean, I read where there was going to be an early rollout at the IMAXs on the 15th,
For 7
wasn't
days.
it? Or no, on the 5th. I'm sorry, on the 5th. And there was just nothing nearby here. I actually want to see it again, but I won't bother driving 2 hours to an IMAX. I'll go to the little theater. I think it's the Fremont downtown San Luis Obispo. They're showing it.
Well, that's part of my. So before I even get into the movie itself, part of my disappointment is access. And man, I was around when Zepp was around, and that was a problem back in the day. It was like Pink Floyd was the same way. You had to travel to another city to see these guys.
To
You know,
see
it's
them.
hard to see
That's
them.
right. Right.
With that aside, though, getting all that bitching out of the way, it's
Yes,
a great
please.
movie. It's a great movie.
No,
It's a great movie.
I really enjoyed it. I did. I mean, it was kind of I didn't know what to expect. I watched a
No, me
couple
neither.
like 1-minute trailers. It was interesting because here you are at IMAX with all this, quality, cameras and everything like that and sound. And you got all this a lot of like fuzzy film because they were old and they weren't done under the best conditions,
Right. But with that said, so I actually had the trailer I thought was badass. I mean, that trailer, I mean, right off the bat, I was like, oh, that was one of my favorite Zepp songs,
Right.
of that time
Right.
period. So that really caught me. So I thought the trailer was amazing. So just if you're a Zepp fan, you had to see that. And if you weren't a Zepp fan and you heard that trailer, I would imagine you got excited like us.
I've been a Zepp fan since I was in high school. Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 came out when I was in high school. Led Zeppelin 3 came out when I was in high school. And within a year of getting out, here was Led Zeppelin 4. And I tell you what, it was a game changer for me and all of my friends. I love that band. I've got all the studio albums. I've got, some of the live stuff, How the West Was Won, the BBC sessions. I've got the Mothership. And I'm not done. I'm not done buying it yet. There's a whole bunch of bootleg and lives out there and things like that. And I really enjoy the live albums if they're done well.
Well, and I'll sum up my favorite part of this movie. First off, what was interesting was most documentaries, you've got other people always in it talking about the band, right? And this one, it's just them. It's just them. The whole movie is just these.
I know. Well, Lou, I found out last night that those interviews, with the exception of Bonham, of course, but the interviews, John Paul Jones and Plant and Page, were done in 2019. Those interviews are 5 years old.
Well,
that was a kind of a shock for me when I was on a friend of mine, Zepp Pearl. He was covering the movie last night on his channel. And anyway, so Michael Nolan says he's not so excited to see it right now. A whole lot of footage has already been seen. Ooh. And 6-year-old interviews don't really do it for me. And IMAXing, I don't undo that. I don't do that.
No. That. I'll address that for Michael, because you know what? From the outside in, Michael's right. From the outside in. However, I mean, I read Thunder of the Gods. I was a big Zepp head, just like I was a Beatles fan. I read everything about the Beatles. I've read everything about Led Zeppelin. I saw them the last weekend. They were in Oakland. I was there at Saturday's show.
Oh, wow.
77. I was at that show. So they had the Proms, but they performed. And then Bonham never came back. I'll tell you what, there's footage in this film, and I think you'll agree, Royce, that from shows that you've seen, but you've never seen these angles before. I don't know where they did it or how they did it.
I know.
It's like, wait. We're suddenly backstage looking out. Where the hell was that footage before, And then Bonham's interview is priceless, because I've never heard any of it, being a drummer myself, listening to him talk. And the biggest thing about this, if you read Thunder of the Gods or you've gone with anything about Led Zeppelin, it's always about how great they are. What I love about this the most is it's their humble beginnings. Here's the supergroup. Here's Jimmy Page from the Yardbirds. This amazing band, and they struggled. People are closing their eyes, and they're too loud, and their hometown won't book them. This gives people like hope. You can be really good, and people still say you suck. Is the message of this?
Oh yeah, the critics were harsh.
They were, because they were ahead of their time, and so sometimes you got to realize: do I suck, or am I just ahead of my time? And luckily, they realized that. They were. The other thing's the chemistry. There could have been no other 4 guys, right, Royce?
Right.
It's like the Beatles. You couldn't replace. That's why when Bonham passed away, it was over. It really was. There would never be. I felt the same way when Keith Moon passed away with the Who, but they kept going. But it really was never the Who again, in my opinion.
No, that's right.
So
hey, George, music for all 4 seasons. Thanks for joining us. Let's everybody go check out George. I haven't been over there in a few weeks. I got to get over there and watch some of your shows. Okay, Adam Finley, cheers. Caitlin, our good friend Caitlin Stoddard, Caitlin's Magical Corner. Check her out. Caitlin's show is always fun. I go every chance I get. I'm usually at work when she's on, and sometimes I'll listen if I'm in the car, or try to listen a little bit on a noisy construction site. Hello, Royce and everyone. Hi, Groovy Lisa. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Gloria's here.
You said hi earlier. I missed it.
Yeah, Groovy Lisa's here.
My feet are killing me.
Joseph Blue is here. Rampage Video was here.
It's never loud enough with Led Zeppelin.
Ian's here. Okay, so anyway, guys, all right, let's get back. So let me just ask you, do you anticipate there being a follow-up to this?
Or is that to me?
Yes. Or is this just, or even the chat? This only covered like the first 2 albums, and then some performances, but
they left it like lifting a needle off a record, right?
Right.
That's how it ended.
Right.
So my answer, the obvious answer would be yes, they've set this up for a series. However,
I know, and that was what I thought.
It's got to be, but because of their faulty rollout, now we're going to get into the business side quickly, it could affect that, because if they don't get the revenue back that they need for this, because of this, I'm going to say crappy rollout for a super group, unless they get the pay-per-view off, your internet, they get it back after they put it on TV to where through Amazon Prime, you can rent it. So they need to get the money back, because this was a floppy or sloppy rollout. But other than that, it looks like it.
Yeah, I kind of assume the same thing. Hey, Novice Nick, one of my co-hosts. Hey, Nick, I just put a link up. I'll pop it in there again if you want to we'd like to get you back up here. We know you're a big Led Zeppelin fan. You probably have more albums than the rest of us combined, of just Led Zeppelin 4, not to mention.
I can't imagine. I would love to hear him talk about that album. I'll tell you what, I thought that was a great album.
Oh yeah. So anyway, excuse me, folks. I'm choking here. So anyway, I got a few bullet points here, kind of some interesting comments that came up. Okay. I mean, the film's focus is on the early years. I already mentioned that. But it starts out with the guys talking about their very formative years. They're like little kids. You remember that? And they're showing a lot of pictures of them as little kids and stuff too. And, like Jimmy Page said, he starts out talking about when he first heard music coming from America. He loved the great rock and roll bands from America. In particular, he really fell in love with the sound of electric guitar playing. Jimmy said it almost like it was coming from Mars, Lou Mars, but it was coming from Memphis. I thought that was a classic line. Pumping septics. I don't think I'm going to touch that, folks. I'm going to. Yeah, okay. I was about to ban from the studio and it disappeared. Pumping septics. I have my suspicions. We do have an occasional, spammer or somebody circulating, causing a little mayhem. It's really annoying. It's really, no matter how many times you throw them off, they try to find their way back in. So anyway, as I was saying, okay, so Robert Plant talked about hearing and seeing. I love this part of the show. Did you see it too, Dawson, or no?
I didn't see the movie.
Oh, you did. Okay. The part where Robert Plant was watching Little Richard. Wasn't that freaking classic? I love that part of the show. Okay. And here's what, and these are why I have these as bullet points. Okay. Robert described seeing Little Richard as hypnotic, provocative, all-consuming. When he heard it, he knew that all he wanted to do was to sing. Okay. That's all Robert wanted to do. Quoting Robert, the syringe was in the forearm forever. Robert said he knew there were singers that had more chops than him, but I just threw it out there, threw it up in the air and threw it out there. Okay. So I thought that was kind of an interesting statement, coming from Robert Plant. So anyway, they made, just listening to them talk and looking at the smiles on their faces when they're watching some old footage and stuff like that. I mean, for a big Led Zeppelin fan, it was like heartwarming. You know what I mean?
I liked it when they cut away. They were when you listen to John Bonham speaking, they would cut away briefly for responses from the other members of Led Zeppelin, many who admitted had not heard this interview, or at least forgot about it. And that was priceless. It's very short clips, but if you pay attention, they clip over and they'll show a quick response. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I loved all those little those little quips. You never really get to see these guys up close and personal. I mean, think about when the band quit, and disbanded with the death of Bonham. And man, they didn't perform for how many years before they did Celebration Day as a tribute to Ahmet Ertegun, the founder of Atlantic Records. I mean, I don't think they performed for something like 27 years before they did that.
Yeah, Robert went off solo for quite a while.
And then they did that's right. And Jimmy too. And they even did some stuff together,
Yeah,
and
what was that?
They did the 85 Live Aid with Phil Collins.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But then but it was a long time. It was even even the concert they did, Celebration Day, that didn't come out for 5 years. It was just put in the closet. And then finally they combined it with the video and made something special out of it. But in fact, the music on the video sounds so much superior to just listening to it on your CD or your record player.
Well, they didn't have the mix. They didn't have, one of the things about Led Zeppelin, the original albums, and you'll remember this, Royce, the analog, and they were so ahead of their time on multi-tracking, but we didn't have the ability to make things really loud yet after multi-tracking. So they were they were these loud, quiet albums. You had to really turn them up, to get the sound. It wasn't until later that they remastered, much, much later, when they did those kits like you like to get, those box sets where they'd remaster, that they brought that up. So the IMAX is a whole nother level. You actually feel like you're on stage with these guys.
Okay. Dwayne Wolotica, how you doing, brother? Jersey Devil. Good to see you guys. Really good to see you guys. Does anybody know why Adam Finley was banned and their comment was removed? I didn't do that. I mean, I did one a little earlier, but I didn't do that, unless it was a complete mistake. So I don't understand it really.
Michael's helping.
What's that?
I said Michael's helping. He's calling him out.
Okay.
I just took a look at it. I rarely look at the chat, so if I missed anybody, I'm sorry.
Hey, Marvin, how you doing? Okay.
Almost. He's got the same problems I have.
Okay. So anyway, I love that comment about Robert Plant talking about how all he knew after seeing Little Richard, all he wanted to do was sing. It's like the syringe was already in the arm, is the way he described it. It was like he was hooked. There was no way out. Michael Nolan, the bottom line, moderator alert. There are trolls. There are trolls. Get your fly swatters out. Okay, there's
oh man. That's a good sign. That means you're doing something right when the trolls come.
Yeah. Well, I just blew one out the door. Let's see. Yeah, we'll have to keep extra alert here. Okay. Yeah, it's too bad too, because I'm harmless. We don't talk politics. We don't get nasty with one another on this show. We're just here to do our show, talk about a different, topic every week, whether it's an album, whether it's a band, whether it's anything to do with classic rock. And that's all we do. We're not here to do anybody any pain. So that's why I like to say, you come on my channel trolling, I'm not going to have a lot of patience with you. The minute I see you, you're done.
Hey, Royce, can I ask you a question about the film?
Yes.
What did you think about them entering the full songs? Almost, like most documentaries, a documentary will have just a piece of a song and then they just keep talking. But in this film, they did entire songs.
Well, you know what? I actually really appreciated it in this film. I mean, I may not have appreciated it in all films, but this one I did.
Yeah. It was different, huh? I've never seen a documentary do that. Right.
Yeah, no, James Watson, you didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. We're glad to have you here. We've been joined by one of our regular co-hosts, Novice Nick, the one and only Novice Nick.
Hello.
And I know you're a huge Led Zeppelin fan, Nick.
Yep, I absolutely am. Matter of fact, I was listening to the first LP tonight, 69 pressing.
Oh, and, God, I love Led Zeppelin 1 and 2. I cut my teeth on 1 and 2. Go ahead.
The closest place to see the movie is 300 miles away.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, so needless to say, I haven't seen it, but what's been described, and I've watched a few videos, is almost in the night. I watched the first two videos. It had them talking about how they became, other people talking about how they became a group. It wasn't as intimate as from what I hear from this movie, but it covers a lot of the same information. I haven't gotten to disc 3 and 4 yet, but I think I've showed it once before. And let me grab it here for you. It's been a busy day, so I hadn't been able to really prep or anything. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
Whoa.
You want to blow me up? Make me big?
Absolutely.
For a second?
Absolutely. Let's look at that.
All right.
Let me get rid of the
And
comment here.
take care of the comment. Okay, we got that.
Look at
And
that.
we open it up.
Oh, okay.
And here we got
Wow.
4 discs.
Okay.
I've watched 1 and 2. And then let's have bonus time. We have a book
Okay.
discussing a lot of their music interactions.
Okay. So
Some
you say
photographs.
Yeah,
you didn't
Jimmy.
say you listened to 1 and 2. You said you watched 1 and 2. So those are
I
Blu-ray
watched 1 and
DVDs.
2. These are DVDs
DVDs.
with music
Awesome, man.
as
Awesome.
well. And yeah, they are awesome. It's funny. I purchased it and let it sit there for quite some time because I hadn't just gotten time to get around to it. Then I finally did this week.
Nice.
I mean, it goes on and on. It's a wonderful book.
No, it looks like a
Uh,
wonderful book.
yeah, and with you know DVD movies, so
Right.
interviews and so it's really
Yeah,
interesting. You make me
I
small
love
again.
stuff like that. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Hey,
So
Ian LaBelle, I just want to say that yeah, you watch the song Remains the Same and you've been on a Zepp kick. And I've been on a Zepp kick for some time now.
on the back,
we did his studio albums, the Zeppelin studio albums, one by one, and then moved on to the other albums and did them one by one.
right?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Yeah, on the back of this, it's a rock retrospectives featuring extensive interviews with Page, Plant, Jones, and Bottom, alongside rare films and recordings of Zeppelin in performance. This
Okay.
deluxe 4 DVD and book set is the definitive critical review of the music of Led Zeppelin on stage, on record, and on film. This goes on. Contributions include Zeppelin insiders in the shape of publicist B.P. Fallon and bodyguard Michael Francis, alongside with newly released archive interviews with the band recorded during the 1977 U.S. tour. There was also film footage from 69, 70, 71 in the Netherlands, and because before they recorded one, they took their music to the Netherlands to see what would work, what wouldn't, get a little more gelled together. Then they came back and recorded one live.
Right.
That's basically, there was no audience but themselves, but they played what worked in the concerts that they did. So there was no sessions where the
No.
drummer, Bottom came in and played here and Page came in and did
Right.
this. It was all done live.
Yeah,
So that's not done
and
anymore.
all done live in 30 minutes.
30 hours.
I'm sorry. Of
That's
course.
okay.
Of course.
It's 30 hours. Hey, if anybody misspeaks, I do it a lot. But yeah, it's 30 hours with Pages to own $2,000. And it goes into the deal that
Oh yeah.
their manager made and all that stuff.
No,
I'm
yeah,
sure everyone's familiar with that.
that was the smartest thing they did. Yeah. Yeah, we've covered that. We've covered that many times.
Well, with
So
$20,000 is the top big ask up front, and he walks in and demands 200,000 and gets it. Big
yeah,
stones, big
right.
stones.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally.
But he
So
knew what he had.
So anyway, let me get back to a little trivia that I wrote down, some bullet point kind of things, So anyway, last thing we talked about was how much Robert Plant loved watching Little Richard perform,
Yeah.
And so anyway, so John Paul Jones started reminiscing about when the band first got together. JPJ talked about what it was like when he first heard Robert Plant sing. He was expecting like a good soul singer, like Terry Superlungs Reed, right? Expecting a good soul singer, but here's what he had to say when he heard him. He described him as a screaming maniac. I mean, he meant that affectionately, but it was no smooth soul singer at all. Okay, so now he was a screaming maniac. Oh my God. So the band was now formed. They're on a plane. They're on their way to Scandinavia to do some concert tours. And at the time, Robert Plant, to be honest with you, was homeless. He didn't have a place to live. So the band, they were on their way to do the Scandinavian tours. that were already booked before the Yardbirds broke up. Robert Plant was basically homeless at the time, sitting next to his pal John Bonham on the plane. There was nice silverware, and everybody was so polite and dressed nice and everything. And Robert said, you know, this was the stuff we used to normally have stolen back in the day. talking.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right. So Plant looks around, you know, and he sees, looks around the plane and says, you know, there's no going back now. He goes, you know, what would you do? You can't go back to mommy then. These are all quotes.
I'm sorry.
These are all. No, these are all just quotes from the interview. No, go ahead now. Go ahead.
Well, but he also, what I liked about it is one of the things they brought up, that everyone glorifies touring and being a guy who's toured a lot.
Yeah.
They talk about how it was difficult for two of them that were in relationships at the time to go on the road to America, right?
Right.
Their ladies were at home and they had to leave and come to America. Right. They were failing at home too. So they're not only leaving their girls behind, they're leaving where they're not successful. So the girls are like, what are you doing? Right? You got to be thinking about that, going, what a risk. Talk about taking all the chips, put it on Black 13. Let's go to America. Baby. And then the first shows. Now, one of the things they didn't mention in this movie that at least I didn't catch, Cooper talked about it on his radio show, was when he saw him at the Whiskey. Alice Cooper warmed up for them. And he said there was hardly, he says, who's this band? Who are we playing with? He said, this new Led Zeppelin. And he said, hardly anybody was there. And they played, they came out. He goes, and it blew me away, is what he says in his report. Right. But that's what it was taking. That's why the Fillmore show, as Peter Grant said, was so important, which they do cover in the film.
No, that's right. That was a Fillmore West too. And Peter Grant told him, if you better knock it out of the park. If you don't make it here, it's over. Yeah, and they came out and they knocked it out of the park.
They sure did. That show, and I think, was it Jimmy that says we came out and we just basically, my own word, played balls out. You know, they said we just came out and we gave it everything.
Everything. That's right. That's right.
And I love that, because in the movie they take you with you on that part. They're basically
right.
When the Who is forming, or when the Led Zeppelin was forming, they tried to form with the Who almost, and they said that it was going to go down like a Led Zeppelin. Last night, I talked to somebody in a group chat online over voice, and it was the person she was the exotic dancer who was with John Entwistle in the hotel room and the night he overdosed. And she had some amazing stories. She was one of the groupies who met all the bands. So the interview's out there somewhere in internet land.
Wow. So who's spinning around? Okay, we're losing people right and left here. I've got two Lou Mars.
We got one back.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. But yeah, like Led Zeppelin, I keep making a comeback in the first two albums.
Yeah. Well, there was talk that in their first appearance in America that he'd forgotten some of the words to the songs, but it didn't really matter. It was the feel of the music that had everybody driving.
Right.
Well, that's it. Yeah. You know, part of the deal too is that Led Zeppelin received an offer to go back home, and they were doing so well in the U.S. they could have, screw it. But they finally were accepted back home, and they went back and played for less money. This is according to their book, not the movie. They went back home and played just to kind of be like a F you, you guys ignored us. America loves us. So the film kind of shows more of that. And that's what I love about the film. The struggle.
Yeah. Well, there's a few things that the film didn't touch on. Well, of course, there's going to be things that it didn't touch on. Yeah. But, like Michael Nolan and I have covered, the forming of Led Zeppelin so many times, from the breakup of the Yardbirds to forming it and taking off to Scandinavia. And one of the things that always comes up is Jimmy Page was his first choice for a singer was Steve Marriott of Humble Pie. And Steve Marriott's manager, Don Arden, who's Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy Osbourne's wife, said to Jimmy Page, how'd you like to play guitar with your fingers broken?
That sounds like something.
I mean, that guy was like a real thug, So pretty pretty soon Marriott was off the table. Okay. And so the next thing that happened is, they got a hold of Terry Super Lungs Reed, I might add. And he was just getting ready to take off on a tour. I think he was going to be opening for the Stones and maybe Joe Cocker in America. This was his solo career. His solo career had just gotten a huge bump. And Page tried to talk him in, and he goes, "Well, if you could wait till I get done with these concerts, we'll do something." And he goes, "No, those concert dates in Scandinavia were pressing." And he says, "No, we got to go now." So he says, "Well, I know this guy. He looks like a Greek god. His name is Robert Plant, and he's playing with a really terrible band called Obstweedle up at some school." And he goes, "You got to hear this guy sing. He's like nothing you ever heard before." So actually, Jimmy Page took John Paul Jones with him, and they went up there and they watched him play, and Jimmy Page was just completely blown away. He said the band was terrible. There was about a half a dozen drunk kids dancing while they were playing, and the band was terrible, but he just couldn't stop staring at Robert Plant and thinking about that voice. He had to have him. So he invited Robert Plant to come join him at his boathouse. And basically he was kind of living there for a while. And they were, seeing how they got along, what their interests were like musically. And they were like super compatible, And of course, and that's when Plant brought up his good buddy, John Bonham. Page went in to watch him play in a bar. And Bonham was just knocking it out of the park. And Page just listened for a few minutes and said, "This is exactly what I've been looking for." And so when Plant approached his buddy John Bonham and said, "Hey, you need to join us." And he said, "Well, what's the name of the band?" And Plant said, "Well, it's going to be the Yardbirds." And he goes, "The Yardbirds? They're all washed up." So anyway, so they wound up, putting it together. But what didn't get brought up, they went straight to Terry Superlungs Reed as their choice for singer, with no mention of Steve Marriott from Humble Pie, the first choice actually. Yeah. So I thought that was so. There were little things like that along the way that we had covered to death, and so those little things kind of stood out to me. I was surprised that they left out something that was so well known. Anyway, there weren't a lot of those though. There weren't a lot of I learned a lot more than I didn't learn watching this. Okay, so anyway, they finished their Scandinavian tours. Their first record was released. They started an American tour with the first concert being in Denver. Jimmy Page says there weren't too many people there. Page told the band, let's just group together as if we were playing for ourselves. It's the four of us as a team. And that kind of helped kind of pull everybody together, because that kind of a thing can kind of almost kill you, as a band, doing a first concert tour in the United States. So, and the critics weren't kind, particularly Rolling Stone magazine. They were talking about, all the negative reviews. Rolling Stone magazine really cut them up bad initially, of course. And then they started filling their shows. Robert Plant goes on to say, "Fortunately, as us four guys, what mattered most is how we impacted one another." Okay. Yep. John Paul Jones was talking about John Bonham's right foot. The rhythm section has a bass guitar and that kick drum, and they need to be locked in. He got into the details about the rhythm section during the movie. I imagine you probably remember that pretty well, don't you, Lou?
There's an interesting point about that in the film. So okay. John Bonham is very well known for one of the fastest right foot kicks. I mean, God, I remember when Immigrant Song came out and Achilles' Last Stand, all of us drummers back in the 70s, and I was one of them, a young man at the time, young kid, we were all trying to do that next to like Denny Carmassi, Rock Candy, Montrose. Boom, right? That's really hard with the right foot. Right. What was interesting in the film, there was a couple of shots I'd never seen before where he had a double kick. Michael Nolan, let me know if you've ever seen that. John Bonham with a double kick setup, couple times in the film. Correct me if I'm wrong. Never seen that. He didn't need it, but I saw it. Did you catch that,
Yeah.
Royce?
Yeah, I did.
hear
I did. Yeah. Right.
I never saw him with a double kick in my life. I was like,
you
I even
you
saw
can
his
hear
actual
it.
get.
He had one little cell in his brain that ran that. That's all he did, and the rest of his body was playing the rest of the music. But that
Yeah.
one brain cell and that right foot just, and it just seemed to never let up. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, well, John Bonham's one of the most influential drummers of all time. You know,
Oh
even
yeah, my
even
favorite.
guys, the arguments happen all the time in modern drummer.
Yeah.
All the people love to put drummers and musicians against each other and band. Who's the top 10? You never see that in art. They don't say, "Hey, is Van Gogh bigger than Da
Yeah.
Vinci?" You never see that. For some reason,
No.
we have to
It's
do that
art.
with music. You know, I
Yeah.
don't get it. They're all good, but
Yep.
Bonham, I mean, without a doubt, when I was in the Oakland Stadium and he started when the levee breaks, I
Yeah.
saw 70,000, because that's what that stadium holds, and it was sold
Yeah.
out, plus the field, all raised their hands, and suddenly they were drummers. Boom, boom, bop. It was like, oh my God. Not too many drummers can a radio start, and it's Led Zeppelin just because of the drums starting on the song. In my opinion, I mean, that's nuts, right? So that's how good that guy was. And he was 19. Is that right, Royce? 19 when he did the first album?
Yeah.
He was 19.
19, right.
19 years old, Led Zeppelin 1? Are you kidding me? That's
Right.
sick,
Right.
dude. That's sick.
I love Zeppelin 1 too.
That's great.
But anyway, Ian's asking Moon or Bonham. Discuss Moon or Bonham.
Oh,
I don't want to get too big of a discussion, but
Yeah.
I will take Bonham. To me is hands down number one, but Moon is fantastic.
Yeah,
And I mean, go ahead.
No, that it pains me to even hear that, because they're both great in their different ways. They were both in the
different
right
ways.
band.
Right.
The Who needed Keith Moon. Bonham wouldn't have worked in the Who, and Keith Moon wouldn't have worked in Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Oh no.
No, but actually, Page, they kind of wanted him at first. They were working on him and Entwistle early on.
That's true. And man, would that have ruined things, right?
Nice blue.
Right.
I love the Who. Don't get me wrong. I think they're fantastic. And Keith Moon, I get compared to Keith Moon and stuff in the past. Never, unfortunately. I wish I was compared to Bonham, but I wasn't ever. Bonham created beats that you never heard before, and that's why I got to give him an edge.
Yeah, and I agree with what Ian's saying here. He'll go with Bonzo, but Moon was a real powerhouse too. Maybe a little sloppier. I don't know, but they were both great. I rank them both up at the top. As far as my favorite drummers go.
Well, Moon had personality that blew up. When you see him.
Yeah.
That is kick butt.
Oh no, I have that one. Yeah, I have quite a few.
Steve Wilson's Atmos mix. Oh my God. Incredible. I listened to it Friday night. Oh my goodness. It was incredible. The Atmos mix puts you on stage. It's just, and then it has the album plus a whole lot of extra music on it. It was incredible. A lot of fun.
Well, I tell you, you want to watch, read a fun story or even watch a fun video. I did a video on the Hollywood Vampires, and I'm not talking about the band. I'm talking about the club, the drinking club that Alice Cooper started. He was the president, and Keith Moon was the vice president.
Yep.
And that's a great video because there's some great stories there. I mean, John Lennon would come out when he was fighting with Yoko. He spent his long weekend there, which lasted 2 or 3 years. And they would go to the whiskey, and they went in there drunk, and Lennon was insulting the Smothers Brothers doing a comedy routine. Wound up getting kicked out, But anyway, that's a great little story about Keith Moon in the Hollywood Vampires drinking club. They said that one of the funnest things about that club was to see what Moon showed up dressed in. He'd go all over Hollywood, in the LA area, looking for a costume to wear to the next. He might come in dressed as the Queen of England, a stripper, you name it, a French maid. And they all just cried. He was a character. He was Caitlin Coop. Yeah, Coop. We brought up Coop.
I have another Yardbirds piece here.
Okay.
So in the Yardbirds, so I've been reading the book Rolling Stones on Air.
Okay.
I'm in about 1965 right now. They cover the 60s. So when they kind of paved the way for the British invasion, which I've been kind of looking at right now, has been the British invasion. And then they were on the same show as the Yardbirds, which is Ready, Steady, Go. And that was right after Clapton left and Page and Jeff Beck was in.
Yeah.
So they were showing pictures of when Jeff Beck was in. They don't have much pictures, but the one I found was just a nice one of the Stones.
Oh, okay.
I put this one here. We're really like a gatefold picture of all the guys. Try to get the bass player in there, but yeah, that was a really nice shot.
Yeah, that is a nice shot.
They mentioned the Yardbirds in this one, so wanted to share that. Thank you.
Okay, right on. Okay, I'll make you small again, and we'll get Mars back on here. Yeah,
I'm on 2 networks now. 2 networks now. What does it take to be in the show? Right when I'm talking about Moon as well. I got to say something about that comment I just saw about Moon and them crossing over. And I also
I saw that. Yeah.
Well, and then I got something to say about your Alice Cooper comment. I was still listening. So Alice Cooper on his show, he also said that when he was actually friends with Keith Moon, and he said in an interview that everything you heard about Keith Moon is not only true, it's worse.
No, that's exactly right.
So that's interesting. So he was just a personality that went above and beyond. But I think we underestimate his drumming because he looks like he's goofing around. But a lot of times the guy that can make it look like you're goofing is actually really good. It's like a controlled crash. He was really good. So, yeah, Bonham had his thing, but Moon was on another level and another planet. And like I said, Tommy the Who without Keith Moon, no, would have been different. Bonham, though, the pocket. Who holds a pocket like Bonham? I don't know.
Pocket.
Man, yeah, he's a pocket drummer. That jazz background, it just came in, and the way he hard hit and that setup he had. And then he had that triplet fill. You know, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3. When he does that in Moby Dick, which wasn't, of course, in the film that's later on, wow, right? We were blown away like, going, what? Good stuff.
Right.
And I didn't cut out for a change while I was talking. Yay.
The Who were more fun than Zeppelin. Well, they were fun.
Well, they're 2 different animals, apples and oranges. It's like Stones and Beatles. Different bands.
It definitely 2 different animals. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, they all tried to back to some of my bullet points here. You know, the band members all tried to inspire each other. Robert Plant said, "My songwriting capacity started to kick in because of the color of the playing that surrounded me." I thought that was worth mentioning. And so anyway, recordings of John Bonham talking were played, and I really enjoyed that. It was so young, too. John Bonham stated it was in the middle of 1969 before I really got to know each of the other band members. It's a gradual thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I heard that interview, recorded interview. Near the end of the documentary, Jimmy Page puts the experience in a nutshell, stating, "You can realize your dreams. I do believe that. I believe that can be done because that is what happened." Okay. So that's what happened. Of course it can be done. It happened.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see, guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's amazing what small circles there were back in those days. When you hear them talk, like, you know, and the one individual, I forget who said it to, John Paul Jones, says, "Hey, I heard Jimmy Page is forming a band. Why don't you go check it out?" You know, and that stuff was happening with the Stones and the Beatles.
No, that his wife told him that, right?
Was it his wife? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, no, his wife told him, "Why don't you go see him?" Yeah.
So they actually know each other,
right? Well,
at some level, to know that there's a small circle.
Yeah, those 2 in particular were session musicians that played on a lot of albums, you know, in the studios, and so they knew each other from that. they knew each other and they had a lot of respect for one another too.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing that Jimmy Page, who had been around so long already, with all of that this was such a risk. You know, he custom built this band, but yet it just shows you can pick the best people you want. You can do everything you think it should be, and it's still, there's no guarantee. You just got to
there's no guarantees. That's right. That's right.
They were coming in here. They lost their butt when they came here. They were failed at home, and then they came here and were continuing to fail. That's what the film shows you. And yet they kept going. It's unbelievable.
Well, let me ask you guys, how many of you know, I know because I have a video on this on my channel. John Bonham was, let's see, Tony Iommi's best man at his wedding. You know, they all grew up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, they were. Yeah,
barely.
It's such a great story. Yeah, barely.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. That last bar they went to, he said, "I want a dozen bottles of champagne up here on the bar," and he goes, "Are you crazy? I can't drink all that. I'll miss my wedding." And so Bonham drank all of that, you know. So they were all buddies. But okay, so Bonham used to hang out with the Black Sabbath guys, you know. Whenever they were playing and stuff like that, he'd go in there and he'd always want to get behind the Bill Ward's drum set, right? And this is the story I really wanted to tell. Yeah. And so one day he got there and Bill Ward hadn't shown up yet. And him and Iommi were tied. He was his best man at his wedding. And he goes, "Hey, you mind if I go up there and give it a go?" And Iommi goes, "Oh, absolutely. Go up there and play the drums." And by the time Ward got there, he said the drum set was an absolute wreck. And after that, Bonham would ask, he'd say, "Hey, Bill Ward, can I give it a go?" And he'd go, "No, you're not playing my drums ever again."
I don't blame him. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. That's a fun little story. I've got a bunch of little stuff like that, you know. I've even got Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, The Lost Jam Session is one of my videos. And it was actually pretty popular. It's still popular. I'll still pop it up that people that aren't subscribed that come to the channel, it'll be what they see when they get there. And I still get a lot of views with it. But anyway, so yeah, those guys were all tight and pretty amazing, really. I mean, you know, we've got that Ozzy Osbourne show scheduled, his final farewell to the fans and everything. And there's just going to be like the who's who of you know, metal are going to be there. You know, some of them as individuals, some of them as bands. They'll group together as individuals and play Zeppelin, Sabbath, and even Ozzy solo songs. I guess the concert's going to start out with Ozzy doing some of his own solo songs, you know, his band songs, and then Black Sabbath will kick in, and that'll close the show. But then there'll be a whole bunch of people performing their songs, so it ought to be pretty freaking amazing. I mean, yeah, I wish I could. I'm sure we'll all see it eventually. It'll be a Blu-ray DVD or something. It's going to be too big. It's going to be too big not to be. Let me put it that way.
Yeah,
you know. So anyway, guys, anybody got any more comments on the movie? Some of us have seen and some of us want to see.
I would have liked to see, or I would have liked to heard Jimmy Page speak. Let me first start with what I liked. I liked that they kept it about the music. They didn't get into the personal problems or the fights or drugs or women and that crap. You know, that you hear a lot with the old. And that's not usually the bands, but it seems like the fans or the writers want to get into, hey, how high were you, or how many rooms did you trash?
Yeah,
you know?
Let's hear the dirt.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I love it that they kept away from that. And this movie is all about the music, and that's
right. And I like that about it too.
It's huge. It's a huge factor, and I don't know too many movies that do that. They kind of
that's right. Right.
But I will add this. What I would have liked to have heard, Jimmy Page is such. I'm a guitarist as well. Drums are my ace, but man, who isn't influenced, whether you're a guitarist or not, or an air guitarist, with Jimmy Page's licks, right? And I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about it. He came up with such amazing things. Not to mention Cashmere later on, which was epic. How do you how did that come out of your mind? But Whole
I
Lot
don't
of
know.
Love and everything. Those riffs,
Right.
down. Where did that come from?
I know.
How did that? Yeah, what inspired you? Did you hear something? Did you wake up one morning and it was just there? I would love to hear Jimmy talk about that a little more, hopefully in the future.
No, that would be
Genius
cool. Yeah.
like that is a gift.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
What tunes did they cover
Everyone
in the
is
movie?
born with inherent gifts. Your job, if you're lucky enough, is to identify it and accentuate it. That's not everybody does that. Most people don't do that. And but those that have the gift and no matter what it is, and find it and hone it, Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
definition of greatness.
Dr. Rick is asking what tunes did they cover in the movie? Well, all that had been put out at that point was Led Zeppelin 1 and 2. That's kind of where the movie cut off, Led Zeppelin 2 coming out. So it basically just songs from those two albums.
Right.
What
That's
were
covered.
the full songs? What were the full songs, Royce?
Well, I thought they had Whole Lot of Love. Wasn't that a full song?
Yes, and there's one other though. There's
It
two.
might have been like, how about Dazed and Confused? Was that?
Yeah, I don't know if they did the whole thing. That would have been a half
No,
hour.
okay.
But
Yeah,
they had a big chunk of it.
yeah.
Was it the original song like a half hour or something like that?
Well,
Okay,
I
James.
know I've got one that's that long on. I think it's on How the West Was Won.
It's a long. There's a long
yeah.
version of Dazed and Confused. And
No, there's a long version. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They got a medley of Whole Lot of Love on How the West Was Won. It must be like 15 minutes long.
That early stuff, their early live shows were like stage jams, but that was kind of part of the whole 70s thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right, huh? Yeah.
They would just kind of play off each other like jazz players, no, you know, they just kind of move around. It was cool.
You know what? Where I really kicked myself. Okay, Michael Patchett saw the '73 tour. You know, I was living in Long Beach, California, and all my friends came down from Las Vegas, where I grew up. My apartment was like a revolving door. 2 or 3 my buddies would move in, then they'd leave, and 2 would come back down to take their place, and then the ones that weren't living there would show up to party every weekend. But it was crazy back then. So we all went to the Rolling Stones at the Long Beach Arena, and I had forgotten that it was only a few months later Led Zeppelin showed up to play at the Long Beach Arena, downtown Long Beach, and I didn't see it. Man, I'll never forgive myself. You know.
I see Michael's claiming a 73. The tours were very different. Each tour was different.
Yeah.
They were not known for being a great live band. I'll be the emperor with no clothes to say that. They were not known for that. They did some great live shows, but the recordings, and this is all my opinion, don't get mad at me, people, but the recordings were epic. Well,
I'll tell you, all of the live albums I have, like How the West Was Won and BBC Sessions, there's so many of them out there. I have not heard one that I don't really, really like.
They're good, but
so I'll have to disagree with you on that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think where Jimmy really shined was when he did those overdubs that nobody else was doing. The way he got the sound out of John Bonham's drums to sound so huge, which he talks about not in this film but other things. Like putting the tinfoil in the bass drum, recording it in the castle entry, all that stuff. Amazing brilliance.
Yeah.
Right. And then his overdubs of guitars. I mean, you listen to number 4, which is not in the movie, but you hear this load of guitars coming at you. Well, there's only one guitarist in the band. You can't do that live.
Right.
You can't do that live.
You can't do that live. No, that's right.
No, it's not possible.
Not the same version.
Hey, the Beatles did it. They stopped touring and all Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper. You couldn't have done any of that shit live. So,
here's Ian right here, Lou, doing a better job than either one of us talking about what full songs were played.
Oh, there you go.
And I was going to say Communications Breakdown. I knew it played, but I couldn't say for sure. Song? I couldn't say for sure whether the end got cut off or not, and how many more times. I remember hearing that too. But once again, I was having more trouble distinguishing between not what was played, but which ones were full songs.
Is there an official? Is there really an official ending the communication breaks down.
Maybe
Well,
not.
I mean, come on. Yeah, but which time? Which time they played it? It was different
Right.
every time. I don't
I'll
think
be the
they
one to say
knew.
first. Pat Benatar stole that. Heartbreaker, dude, you got it, dude, you got Heartbreaker.
Right.
Same song. Come on.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no
You missed
difference.
out. You missed out, Lisa. Michael Nolan, blessed are the meek, blessed be the thumbs uppers. Hey, thank you so much, everybody. Please hit that thumbs up. You have no idea what it means to a show. You get 50 thumbs up, the algorithm
Yeah.
keeps shoving your show at people searching for content. You get another
Give us
50, they
some of
keep
that
doing
stuff.
it.
Come on.
And it can number it not only in the hundreds, it can number in the many thousands if you keep getting thumbs up.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's a big deal. It doesn't cost. It's the simplest way to support a channel. Hit the like button. You know,
We're close.
and
We're
I
getting
tell you,
there.
if you guys, if there's anybody out there that's not currently a subscriber, I just hit. Let's see. I just hit. Yeah, 1,821 subscribers. I'm pushing for that 2,000 subscribers. The channel's been growing. It's been growing a lot, and we're real happy with it. But if you're not a subscriber, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe. You just hit the subscribe button right down here on the video, and then the icons, the bells will pop up. If you hit the top icon, which is a solid black, you'll get a one-time notification, so you'll be sure not to miss another show. Okay, so subscribe, hit the like, all those little things that don't cost anything mean a lot to the to the content creators, because it just helps us grow. It helps us grow. Michael Nolan, the bottom line. Look at that. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for reminding me to ask for all those goodies again.
Yeah.
And the Royce in the House also has a membership now. I have members that actually support the show, a little bit of money every month, just automatically. And there's even things like, I think there's a way where you can just do a super chat, if you want to support the show. Donate $1, $2, just to help support the show. Get me some better lighting in here and stuff like that, So there's a lot of ways to support the show, but the real simple ones, really simple ones, are the like button and the subscribe button.
Will better lighting really help you?
I don't know. I may be sorry if I get better lighting. I may want to downgrade it again. Yeah, no, I know, and I just use that as a poor example. I need all kinds of. I need that as an all kinds. I need all kinds of stuff. I need a new computer. I need. Well, I still have a nice microphone. I'm happy with that. But everything else needs to be replaced.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. We got doctors for that nowadays.
No, I know. Okay, number nine. Right. I think he's trying to tell us we're going on a repeat here, So actually, I think we're winding the show down. Any closing comments from the panel?
Yes, I'd like to. I think it's broken up into 4 different parts, but I'm going to post that link again for the YouTube in the light. It's great stuff.
That's what you were showing us earlier, right?
Right,
with all the DVDs, yeah.
Exactly. So you'll be able to see what I was talking about. Enjoy some good music, some interviews. It's different from the one that's in the theaters now, but it's quite entertaining, very informative.
Oh yeah,
I
no, it looked like
enjoyed
it'd
it
be
immensely.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
It looked like it'd be great. Okay, there's that link from Novice Nick. Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's super good.
Yeah,
I have to finish the other 2 discs. They'll go on to, I'm not sure how far they go, but the first 2 discs pretty covered 1 and 2, pre-Zeppelin and 1 and 2. So looked at those 2 discs went by. I'm like, what do you mean that disc's over already? It went by quick. I'm like, give me more.
Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead. A little closing statement here. I enjoyed the movie. In fact, I'm pretty sure in the next week or so I'll go watch it again at the little theater here in San Luis Obispo. It won't be IMAX, but you just can't take it all in on the first go round. When it's something as important as a Led Zeppelin show, I just got to see it again.
I need an Uber.
Yeah, there's a lot too.
I need a 300-mile Uber. Well, actually 6. I got to come back.
Okay, Dawson, closing statement.
Probably within a couple weeks, I'll have some live material on my channel, and I'll try to get the groupie on there, and we're gonna have some cool stories.
Got a
for you
groupie coming
guys.
on, do you?
Fly, birds, fly.
Is that like a real groupie or what?
No, it's a real one. She's met pretty much everybody. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, Lou, any closing statements from you, my brother?
Short one for a change.
Okay.
In an age where Super Bowls no longer have bands and the garages no longer rock like they used to, this film is important to let our youth of today see how it was and how it could be in the future. I'll close with that.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Well, that's good. And it's good to see you again. You know, you guys don't know this, but Lou used to be a regular co-host. Came on every week, him and Dan McNew and Michael Nolan.
Good stuff.
And we had a good time there. And then Lou had to go off and start a rock band. And,
I had to get on the road and do some stuff, but I really appreciate you letting me come on tonight. And
nice meeting you, Lou. Nice meeting you,
Louis.
Hey, thank you so much,
Louis.
Michael. So I want to thank everybody that came on and helped me up here tonight. Gave me a little more time to interact with the chat and bounce a couple of trolls. I don't know who accidentally bounced. I think Adam Finley, but whoever did that was a mistake, I'm sure. But some of the usual suspects were here, and Michael knows who I'm talking about. So thank you guys for coming up and helping me tonight. It's good. We're trying to limit the shows down around an hour. Michael has a live that he does right before my show, and then he comes on and co-hosts with me usually. He's just a little under the weather tonight. So anyway, guys, thanks so much. And I really, really appreciate the chat. There's nothing like the chat, man. We just love you guys. We love all the comments. And there'll be other people watching later, and they'll watch the chat too. I mean, we have an excellent chat. We have a lot of fun here. And Winslow Red Cross, great show, guys. Thanks so much, Winslow. Michael Nolan. If I did that, Adam, I'm very sorry. And if I did it, I'm very sorry too, because I did remove 2 people, but Adam wasn't one of them. I'm sure of that. But anyway, sorry, Adam. Don't hold it against us, brother. We love you, man. We love you. So anyway, so we're gonna close the show tonight, folks, and that's what's happening in Royce's world today. Thank you all so very much for joining, and good night, everybody.